Hello, everyone, and welcome to Challenge to Champion. Thank you for listening week in, week out to the episodes. I really do appreciate it. I do have one ask for you guys. I don't need you to like the video or subscribe or do any of those regular things. I just need you to share this to someone who you think will find value in the content that I'm creating. Please do this. This is my only ask, and I will keep trying to make the best content possible. And please enjoy the show. Mr. Simon Phillips, welcome to Challenge to Champion, and I'm so excited that we are able to have this chat finally. And yes, you are so inspiring. We've just been talking for 20 minutes or so, and I think you have way too much knowledge to try and squeeze it into like an hour session of a podcast, but we're gonna give it a try. So firstly, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Leroux, man. I think, hello, everyone. So Simon is the name. And for a lot of my life, so I operate under the name Simon Says. And for a lot of my life, I did a lot to show people. I did a lot to show off, to be someone in this world. And my whole life has been probably until the last 15 years has been a bit of a show. And I think with the great thing now, Leroux, as we were chatting, is just like we meet each other at our point of honesty. And you can't get more honest than having a motorbike accident. You can't get more honest than having a past that is riddled like with mine, like from drug habits to breaking many of the 10 commandments and repeatedly and bumping my head. But over time, realizing what is my purpose, and that's such a, that word purpose, hashtag purpose, hashtag blessing, what does it mean? And like we're saying, that it only comes out through trial. And so, I've been through some crazy trials as of you, and I'm keen to share a bit of that story today. I have told a lot of my story. I was telling my wife the other day, I've told it a lot. It is what I do for a living. So it's pretty raw and pretty hard to hear a lot of it. But I don't also, I've started moving away from that a lot. Just, I think often we like shock factor, especially as media consuming public. The more shocking it gets, the more we'll listen. There's no such thing as bad publicity, to put it like that. So I don't delve into the details too much anymore. I think most people are all going, that's a sucky story, but then what did you do? You know, you broke your back, and then what? Yeah. Your marriage is crumbling, and then what?
Where do we get the motivation?
That's what
do we learn out of the story?
After the shock, after the goosebumps, tomorrow morning, what did Simon say? What did Leroux do there? Can I implement? So intentional implementation is now my go-to.
I love it, man. And the content you're putting out, everything is very direct and asking something from someone to think about something. And that's a big reason why I started this podcast, because I didn't think that I am a thinker. I don't have a reason to think about something because I'm always occupied with something, always busy solving some problem, listening to someone. So I don't really just sit and think. And when I think we are confronted with questions or trying to explain yourself, that's when you really figure out, listen, how do I feel about this? Or what do I think about this? And this is a growing experience for me. I think you have a lot more experience with talking and motivating. And I want to get into that with what you're doing at the schools and with Simon Says. Give me a bit of insight. I know you have a rough backstory, and we can get into that a little bit if you want. Just headlines. And what are you currently busy with, and how are you currently changing that and using that to benefit?
I like it, man. I often tell people, let me give you the Super Sport Blitz version. And I think it's, I'd rather be the meat of the conversation is where we are, where to from here.
Yes.
So born in Zim. I'm a Zimba. I'm 40 years old this year, so a bit of a bully. And came across from Zim in 2002. I started my first year in the courses at Lazar's Mansa courses. My marks weren't too good. I wanted to do journalism at Tux. I'm a storyteller. I love stories. I'm not just some buff guy with a passion for bench press. I'm actually a bit of a nerd, and I love a story. I love reading. I love hearing what makes people tick. So I tried for journalism, but my academics weren't strong enough to get into tux. So
You did sports science.
went to
then.
sports science. Yeah,
Yes.
man. Went to Technicon and walked into the tech first day. Lazarte Manskosais, drove from Zim, a little Peugeot 306. Lovely family, very medium financial means. So it was a big thing to come to varsity. And we came to a course as 300 Afrikaans guys. It's a Technicon era of Boere there, so not much English happening. 5 black guys and myself. That was the course as. And my first day in res, they say to my parents, the hardcore, I said, hey, listen, sorry, does your son speak English? And my parents said, no, he's never heard it. In his life in Zim, there was very minimal Afrikaans, so they didn't know quite what to do with the Soti, so they said, look, we're going to put him in a mixed house. So my parents thought, is that with girls? That'll be fantastic. You'd love that, coming from an all-boys school in Zim. And they said, no. He's going to go into the house of the black guys. And I don't mind that. Went to integrated school, and in Zim it was pretty much kumbaya for the past few decades. Been there, done that nonsense. And but I was shocked at being rejected by my own skin color. I was like, what? Because I'm English. Like, we were fighting different battles with farm invasions in Zim and those sort of things. And now petty issues came up like that. And so I told myself 4 things in that first year at the Technicon. I said, number one, because I was extremely bullied, but not Gen Z bullying. It was really bullied.
Bit of an outcast.
100%, man. And coming from a big boys' school where you were part of the main show and it was all, rah, and then suddenly it was sort of bucket of cold water. So my nickname was Mugabe, go figure, and that was my main name. And so I would walk into they'd have a little party in the ontspanning cell, and I'd walk in, lights on, music off, Mugabe, you can have a Coke and you can leave. They'd wait for me to leave, boom. Physical abuse. But anyway, it was bad. So my whole connotation of Afrikaans Pretoria just was like, boom. In Pretoria West there, not so great. So I said to myself 4 things. I will never come back to Pretoria after I'm done this course. I'll never support the Blue Bulls. What happened is every time there was a Bulls game there, we would go watch in that little ontspanning cell and they'd paint us all blue. But they'd paint the Afrikaans guys with water-based paint, which washes off very quickly, and I got oil-based paint, so like a smurf. So 3 days later, I'm walking on campus, and they're like, Mugabe, ons bloed is blauw, Mario fell. So I had this connotation with Afrikanerdom, rejection, so wounds, which a lot of us carry today. Small things, you start crapping and you find what's the wound that leads to an action years later.
It's the cause.
That's it, man. Couldn't stand the Bulls. Number 3, I said Afrikaans girls gave me more bet than Brevis on the double step. So no, I'll never chat to an Afrikaans chick. They had no time for me. And then Afrikaans music was just like cherry on top. No thanks. So number 1, I've never left Pretoria for over 20 years. I worked for the Blue Bulls. I did conditioning for them. I married Hester Leroux Meyer.
Did you feel you have to face your demons or face the things that you didn't want to do? Or?
No, I think by providence and by the Lord sort of flexing his muscles and say, hold my Plato, I've got another plan. He forced me to face them. I think that's the thing, is that it just fell into, it's such a random way I met my wife, such a random way I started working at the Bulls. It's crazy, man. And the 4th thing I said never to was Afrikaans music. Well, Robbie Wessels was my best man at my wedding. So, and I think he is the most Afrikaans guy in Pretoria. I think he holds the title firmly. We still battle with the lingo with each other. And so everything I said never to, the Lord really just said, listen, I'm going to show you. You think this is a desert? It's an oasis. And whenever I'm in a place of challenge, like Leroux with your back we were talking about now, challenge to champion. It sounds like such a corny phrase, and we all like to hear that until you are there. Until you're lying on your back in the middle of a ravine, until you're in a marital crisis, until you're saying, hey, check my Nedbank bank account. And I often say to people, what's your first gospel, man? What's your first go-to point in the morning? And we all like to say, oh, you wake up, and if you're not religious, you say, meditate or think and grateful list and all this other stuff. But us being faithful people, it's what do you do first thing in the morning? And I can tell you now, myself included, most of us, we check our phone. We don't turn to our spouse or to a child or to whatever. We do turn. I turn to my left, and it's the phone, it's the alarm off. My first gospel, my first truth, my first hope generally is Nedbank, email, who's blue ticked me. So I generally start my day on an anxiety pill. That's the way of my flesh, not the way of my champion. So my challenge is bills be paid. are people replying? Bang, bang, bang. And I take that and I put that garment of stress on. I go to the shower and I spread that over my wife and kids. Maybe they don't know it subtly, but there's something brewing me called worry. And let me just try and form this properly. So worry has, I think, become, I conquered drugs a while ago, a long time ago. And for years I was always preached against drugs and this and addictions, be careful. But I think for especially the man and women in Pretoria, and fast-paced Pretoria, anxiety and worry and depression has become a huge drug. It's something that often I speak about addictions and some people can't relate. But as soon as I start turning towards anxiety, do you struggle? Panic attacks? Yeah. How's your breathing? Do you breathe deep? No, not at all. I have migraines. Others. My head is, I can see people are not present in conversations because it's worry. And it's often people with a lot of bucks. Generally the people who are doing very well in our eyes. They're carrying another loss. So just to go back to Pretoria, I'm there, I'm in the res, and yeah, just long story short, I made a lot of bad decisions after that. The Lord had a plan for me to now dive into a lovely wife and a marriage and everything, but I pressed pause with decisions. And I think that's the big watchword. It's like what you decide is what you become. So yeah, long story short, a lot of my decisions led me to Zim was crumbling, our finances were fading, and I just started weaving a web of lies to try and avoid my parents having financial pressure, and I would always justify a lie. So I started off by lying. That's why I started here and I ended off on drugs, and it was always with a good intention. But my intention is this. So I wanted to save my parents from a financial struggle for varsity fees. So I said, no, I've got a hockey scholarship. You don't need to pay this bill. Don't need to pay that bill. And I had to now live in the sort of the justification, that lie. Long story short, I ended up living homeless. I was a homeless person at Tux, Elsa de Villiers to be precise, a 2 checkers packet, Nokia 3310, a charger, and I lived at Elsa de Villiers for about a year and a half. I was just a common sight there. Victor Matfield said the other day we did a thing together, and I was telling him the story. He said, no, Simon, I know exactly who you are. Way thinner, on South Street, Burney Street. I remember, Simon, and I was the guy, but like Boomy, man. But because of a lot of my own, I wangled myself into positions. Instead of saying, help, I'm struggling, I had thoughts, and I would never reach out, anything but reach out. And I'd be eating from a bin, but I'm like, I'm fine.
Being in sink sand, the more you struggle, the deeper you get.
And the deeper you go. My parents always said, Simon, you always say you're cool, and it's all cool. And they said, the fastest Simon moves off, how are you? We know you're in trouble. And I know that people as well now. The faster they divert, you divert the pop pass. It's like, I know there's a story. Anyway, so one day I was on this field, and Pierce Peace, Brian Abana, that crew, Chili Boy Pele, they were with Jake White. He was the coach from JP Boys High, going to the Under-19 World Cup in Argentina, of which they were winning. Lighties, no-name brands. And I would just be doing, in the evenings, I'd wait for the lights to go off. So I'd do push-ups. US was the coach. I'd do push-ups and watch the rugby team help the guys with stretching and stuff from Tux. When the lights went off, I'd go shower downstairs, go up to my little 3-walled Lucy, sleep on a gym mat. And that was my life. And one day I was doing my little push-ups following the team there and trying to have some purpose. And Habana and the guys were going to dinner at the HBC. And they're like, hey, man, the one player said, hey, man, can we do some call with you? We've got half an hour till dinner, going to this World Cup, and I don't know, they were really. So we started training, and then the next guy said, hey man, my sister's in the Corsace, and she needs to lose a few kgs before a denier. Can she come? I mean, within 6 months, I had like 250 clients doing this big boot camp on the field, had SA7s with Paul True, did their speed and agility, SA netball came to me, SA hockey. I just became the guy to go to. Still, the homeless guy, no one knew. They just knew this guy, Simon's always consistent. He's always there. And I had nothing else to do. In that desert season, the oasis starts to flow through opportunity. If I'd been at varsity studying biokinetics and sports science and movement and push-ups, I'd never had that opportunity. I'd have to go and do an internship far away at a high school and suddenly work my way back to Brian Habana, the quickest player in the world at the time. Crazy. Through my darkness, the Lord always says, hold my cappuccino. I promise you. I know it doesn't look like, but I promise you, you're going to love this plan. So my life
When you look backwards, you'll connect the dots.
I would actually go as far as to say, embrace the storm. I know it sucks at the moment when you're lying in a ravine, when you're looking at your bank account, and he's like, trust me, but that is the exact moment for greatness. As corny as it sounds, until you're there. And anyway, so saved enough money, bought a scooter with no license plate on it. My sponsor, Andrew Farnfield, the other day when he did the Bucky handover for the Gladiators that I'm a part of, he came out, he said, Simon, we also, we expunged one of your old debts from years and years ago. There's an old Conti scooter that was on your thing. You owe some bills on that, Simon. And I'd been I've been stopped by the police many times, but they could never send the bill anywhere because I would say, where's your address? I was like, no, I'm homeless, number one. And they're like, but where are you from? I'm like, no, I'm from Zim. So it's like I had diplomatic community, man. I could never get pinned down. So Andrew came and he luckily, it was a bit of a laugh. He expunged those debts. He said, now we'll make a plan for you, man. And anyway, so I saved enough money to go back to varsity. Parents pulled in also and chipped in, and we started grafting away at getting a semblance of life back. Moved into a friend Ross into his garage, which is a big step up from
being
homeless, man.
Yeah.
And but I think the thing is, then I got into life again, but I was socially retarded. I'd hustled and lied and done this, trying to sort of get a place in the world and be justified, that I'd neglected real friendships, real chats like we're doing now, just being honest, putting this best foot forward just so I can be acceptable. What is acceptable, man? What is no one is pure, no one is holy, no one has got it together. They look like they do, but they don't. And so I started going to Hatfield Square, and I would look for friends, man. I lived up the road from it, so I had to walk there at 5 in the evening and everything to do. And a half-hammered guy at Hatfield Square is quite a friendly chap. By 10 o'clock, it's different, 10 p.m., but they're pretty loving at 5:30. And I just try to find mates there, and what you spend time with is what you become. So I got into this sort of life of, just making bad decisions, and eventually fell into, stripping, into drugs, hardening into drugs. And it's often when I speak to schools, it's that thing of how do you get into all these places that a few years ago I would say, I would never do this, I would never be that guy. And then you find yourself and you're that guy. Oh, we'll never get divorced. Like we were saying, at your wedding day. We were there. We had a cheers together. What a day. You spend hundreds of thousands on a wedding, but you're here now, 2 years later. How did I get there? And no one makes radical decisions to get into a stuffed up place. It's like
gradually.
So that's it. It's like we go to Cape Town now. I can say, Leroux, let's go, let's hop in the car. I know the way generally, but I don't. I have a feeling. I know we'll get there, then we'll go there to the N3, then we'll get into. By tonight, if we don't use a GPS, we're going to be somewhere in the Kurua, and then we settle for the Kurua. But there's not a Table Mountain, but hey, it's not that bad, Leroux. Let's hang out here.
Somewhere else at least.
So we settle, and we settle for the less. That's not the girl you should marry. That's not the girl. Don't do that business thing. Settle. And then we wonder, we shake our fist at advice and God and the world, whoever, and say, how did you let me? But you made small decisions. And that Google Maps is in our heart, and it says, turn left now. But that doesn't feel right. Turn left now. How many times with my own wife have we gone on the highway and it doesn't feel right? I'm sure we go this way to the farm. And then, yes, you find yourself 3 k's up the road doing a U-turn. Swallow your pride. Pay another toll gate. Pay the fee again. Now you're back. Everyone is yelling it, but do you want to hear the Google Maps? Are you open to challenging? Are you open to wrestling? And I think friendships, especially in our city, become so back-patty. It's, we've lost
soft.
that. Yeah, a few years ago, my wife and I were just in a thing of every Friday night it's braaiing and it's people coming over and it's going there, and you just get into this thing of stocking up the gin bar and putting on the rug, and it's great. But like one day, my wife is a psychologist, so she shoots straight for the blood. She said, "Why are we doing this?" And she said, "I'm going to tell you how tonight's going to go." And she said, "The guys are all going to go and stand around the braai, around the Weber, whatever, and we'll have a castle light, and no one will have a major drinking problem or anything. It doesn't look bad." And she said, and you'll all chat about Bucky's, Bitcoin, and the Billa, general topics, I can almost call it, in most brides, which is not a bad thing, but it's consistent. That's our ceiling. And 3 weeks later, someone will say, "Hey, Mark, you're getting divorced. What? Dude, you had an affair. What? You got cancer. But why didn't you tell us? We had brides every Friday." And the answer will be, "You never asked." And one by one, we watched our friends falling by the wayside until we fell by the wayside, and we had our own marital problems. And we're like, "But where's all the men? Where's the mates? We've got so many mates. Check my Facebook. 10,000 friends. What? Come on." But in your darkest day, but you didn't. And I got so cross. When we went through stuff in our marriage, I got so cross. Where's all the men? Where's our mates? But did you let them in beforehand? Now I want to pull the rescue button. But did I invite you for coffee on a Tuesday and say, "Hey, bro, ask me questions, man. Hear my heart." But when it's too late, and then people don't know how to deal with the trauma in lives, because we just talked about the Billa, Bitcoin, and Buckies. Yeah. Now you want to talk about sore backs. Now you want to talk about infidelity or whatever. Hard jump. And I was shaking my fist at close friends going, "Come on, help me out." But I once again, by decisions or non-requests to, wise counsel is invited. It's invited. No one's going to come to you and say, hey, I want to walk a path. No one does that. It's invited. Hey, help me out. You go to the personal trainer. He doesn't come to you. You say, hey, listen, I want to get fit. Okay. But it's going to be tough. Okay, cool. And and on the other hand, my wife said, the girls at the braai, she said, we go and we sit at the salad bar. So the guys don't say enough to each other, say minimal. And the girls say too much. And said, we go chop and we have some champagne and we giggle and laugh. And one night my wife said, randomly after dinner, she said, people had left and said, sorry, I want to just apologize. I said, why? She said, ek het jou rug oopgemaak. I said, how come? She said, no, it's just like, whatever, the girls are just being innocuous and this guy's lazy and Leroux doesn't pick up his socks or whatever, just chit chat. She said, just by peer pressure, I said, yeah, Simon as well. She said, but you're not like that. And so I thought, hey, it doesn't matter, it's a small thing. She said, no, it's not a small thing. It's like we defend each other and we speak life into each other. So we withdrew through our season of struggles for a long time just from people. And it was so hard for me to. My wife was fine with that. For me, it was difficult. I'm a party waiting to happen. Oh, I love this. This is what I do. This is who I am. And it's not who we are. With marriage, you're made for that spouse. You're made for the one flesh. If you're not married, to people listening, you're made for your creator. You're made for intentional friendships, for proper friendships. Where, yes, we have fun and we laugh and we watch the box. It's fantastic. We have a drink and we whatever. But at the end of the day, like I always say, everyone is there for you on a Friday night at 10 o'clock. But let's talk on a Thursday at 10 a.m. and have a coffee. Like, are you available? Can we chat? And so that's become, that's become my life calling. When I got into drugs, that was where I segued now, sorry. If you told me, Simon, drugs years ago, I'd have gone, never, no, I'm a fitness guy. I was at a 40th birthday and I was in my 20s, and it was good friends. It was a doctor and a lawyer up in Waterkloof Ridge, and it was one guy's birthday, and happy birthday to you midnight, and the caterers bring out some, I thought it was a birthday cake or tiramisu, and I'm like looking, what is that? And it's lines of cocaine. And I'm shocked. I'm like, what? You told me drugs. I thought drugs was a homeless guy under a bridge, like in El Ur, That's drugs, No, drugs is right here. And drugs for me was people pleasing. So when it came out, I was like, it's drugs. And my friends could see I'm panicking here. And the guy's like, relax, Simon. It's cheaper than this. And you take a panada tomorrow and you won't have a hangover. It's actually fine. Justification. When you have to over-justify something, be careful.
And wanting to fit in, probably.
That's it, hey? People pleaser, man. No identity. Who are you, Simon? I'm your friend. Started a drop zone, finished in a drug den. Okay? And no true identity. And it's often I say, it's like, if we knew drugs or a bad decision doesn't always come in the form of something scary, you wouldn't do it then. It's like, the devil was beautiful, man. He was like... And it's like if it's like a few years ago, we got robbed. We were on holiday, and then chatted to the neighbors. Oh no, there's a bit of a break in here, and you figure out where did they get in? It was the little broken window on the left-hand side. The one that your wife had told you for 6 months, fix the window. There's a weak spot. There's the weak spot. He doesn't come through the front door and say, hey, Leroux, I've come for the plasma. Please, can I have a cappuccino? Thanks. I won't be long. No one will let him in. So it's the weak spots, and it's that checking, and it's checking the beams. Put the alarm beam on every day. Put the alarm beam on. Watch yourself. If you've got a wandering eye, watch yourself. If you're alone with chicks and you're a married guy. If you've got a problem with dope, be careful at 2 a.m. at a 40th. Just be careful, man. Watch me, guys. I love a tequila. Just watch me, man. If it's overspending, hey, just check me on a holiday. Just watch me, guys. Just to gird the lines, man, and put on the beams. And I had lots of beams on areas that were not really important, and the few where I felt people pleasing, wanting the praise of man, those ones I sort of fell away from. And but thankfully it's become my victory song. Is now I embrace it. Now I say, hey, this is where I'm at. These are my problems. These are my weaknesses.
I've learned these hard lessons. I can spot them a mile away now.
100%, man. So I, long story short, got into hectic drug selling, worked at a big strip club in Joburg. Man. And I'd talk to the strippers at the one club, and when we closed, and they'd always have a story. The name is not really Midnight or Candy. It's actually Magdalena, and she went to Unisi or whatever. Everyone has a real personality behind their mask. And I was always, as a journalist at heart, I was always like, I wanted to know, but why did you do it? Why are you here? How are you here? And one day the one girl said to me, Simon, you always ask us this stuff. You're always preaching to us. Why are you here? How are you here? You tell us, man. Like, and you get out of here. Like, you're just in a bad place as us. And it really got me thinking. And it's almost like it started that scratch in my spirit. And then I had to answer it. And the next few weeks I made hard decisions. And yeah, one night just driving to Pretoria, and I had a load of drugs on my little car seat to go sell, dead sober. And I just said, hey, God, if you're real, like, really talk to me. I'm a bit of a dwarf Christian in that sense. Like, some people see a butterfly upside down and this and that, and it was on my mum's grave.
It's
and
a sign.
It's a sign.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I'm not there. I think just like, if Leroux wants to talk, like, I want to hear your voice verbally. And it's a big one in faith and stuff. Did you really have? So I said, well, I'm dwarf. Talk to me. And as I'm standing here, man, I was going through Midrand, and there was a BJ's Cafe over the M1, and clear as daylight. Simon, you're done. Like, dude, no radio on, nothing. It was like, whoom, the voice. I've called you by name. I've called you by loud, man. So much so, I pulled over the car, threw a stack load of cat into a bush. That's when you know I was sober, and wept for the first time in years. Like, wept on my car bonnet. Phoned the dealer and said, hey, man, I've chucked it away and I'm done with this. He said, hey, that's great, but you have to pay me back. Made a payoff process. And I never went back to Johannesburg. I went straight to Brook Street, 227, Andre and Rhoda, lovely friends, good people. Like I said, Andrew Maritz, man, Delberg, Leon and Francois. I can reel off names of strong men. Andrew Best lasers. People, I can name people in moments of toughness who have come to the fore.
Do you see them as accountability partners, or
yes,
how would you see them?
I think so, and I think it's and like I said, it's come through reaching out in tough times, and then growing friendship and getting stronger
telling
together.
them your struggles.
That's it, 100%. We meet each other at our point of honesty, man.
Of course.
So I moved in, and I just hooted at these friends' house, and I was like, hey, and they're like, Simon, welcome back to life, and they barked at me a bit, and I just went cold turkey and just pulled out all temptations, just started cutting ties from chicks to places I shouldn't be, and just finances like that dried up. So you're also forced into a corner. You got to make a plan. It's like hectic rehab. And then, just started walking a path of the Lord, and what is my purpose? Started a little boot camp, very menial sort of means, and then just got humbled. Life humbled me, and I've been humbled a lot. I've been homeless, and I've been in deserts a lot. It's like a recurring theme. It's desert, and then it's an oasis, and then often, like, I feel my spirit is like the Lord is saying, "Stay here, Simon, stay here." Then it's the heart of man starts pulling away slowly, and the Lord's like, and he gets back in. It's a little bit of a struggle. And now I'm realizing for the first time in my life, like, I have the decision. It's like, we can stay here. Stuff will happen. There will be things out of control. But there is definitely a recipe to staying under blessing and staying in good stead with God and man. There's a recipe to it. But the pride of man pulls us, and the world says it's purpose and ambition, which is great to have. But I'm just realizing humility and honesty trump it every single time. I sat with a guy dying a few months ago, big CEO, little company, Mary, quite an arrogant guy before hospital. I reached out, hey Simon, can you come and spend some time with me? And I walked in there, the guy's like, man, he's wearing an adult diaper, fighting for his life, doesn't care about his trip to Neisner, his boat, his yacht, nothing matters, and he says to me, such a great statement, he said, Simon, in ICU there's no Rolex. There's no Rolex in the ICU. The lady changing a nappy, Brie, that's your point of contact, and you're just waiting for one loved one to come around the corner at 4 o'clock. That's my life. 100%. Don't care, Brie. But yet, we live like there's this huge tomorrow always. And I'm not being pessimistic. It's like, let's be real and enjoy these small moments, like being present. Yes, I was never present. And my wife always said, Simon, your eyes, I was always darting. I wouldn't just sit and listen to you, didn't listen. I'd be one step ahead. And I always call that, I've got good EQ. I can read a room. Like someone's talking, you're already formulating. Okay, and it's good, and it's like you have to do it now. Chatting to me, you got to think, where do you take this conversation? But just being present with your wife, man, with your mates, with your business partners, just be sitting and not having to always say something. It was my wife loves my awkward silences now. She's like, I love it, man. I love it when you're flippant honest and when there's awkwardness. That's okay. We'll sit in that, man. That I can do. When there's always an answer, and we're quick talkers and we're doing deals, it exhausts her. And I never allowed
my brother is exactly the same. And it exhausts me, but I've had to learn to also accept him a bit. But I also think he understands me more now as well, and he notices that it bothers me, and he tries to do it less. And it's a difficult thing to walk through with personalities and people close to you. and
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
scratch you a bit.
100%. And for in the first part of my marriage, I didn't honor my wife in that. I would say yeah, ek wil jou, and my wife hates this statement. She says, Simon, you'd always say, but it's not my intention. You don't. It's not until I actually had to start making absolute moves and honoring her by doing what is natural to me. And actually going, hey, and for some people, they love it, man. Some guys with this Gladiator show, I've got to do hype, but that's what I'm there for. But just being wise in different situations. And people chat because they want to be heard. So I'm way more into the listening game now. And then, yeah, so...
It's a massive skill to learn, eh?
Oh, dude.
Just to be able to really listen, really think about, and not just saying something to block out the silence.
Man.
But actually responding to what is being asked and what is the scenario at hand.
Like what I've learned of that is when my wife and I first met, cool story of the little sidebar, I was living in this little flat with these friends of mine coming off my past. And one Sunday, like I clearly felt in my spirit, like time to go to church, time to get community. So we can't fight this thing alone. So started going to church, and the one day I said to the one girl, Yasmin, I said, hey man, save me a seat. I mean, we're a bit late. She said, no, I've saved a seat. We're right at the back. But there's a girl who's at the Atterbury Theatre. That's where we went. And she said, yeah, there's a girl, Hessie. She'll save a seat. I went to school with her. But yeah, she knows you're coming. So you'll check a chick with dark hair. So I walk into the church. And ironically, there's old Robbie. Also just met the Lord. He's playing guitar in the front. And I walk down and I just check this babe. And I'm like, whoa, man, this is the community. You're calling me this is a belter. And at the moment, I was thinking in my heart, yo, this is marriage material. She tells a story and says, no, when you sat next to me, I thought, oh, yada, this is a breaker, as a Sauti, he needs the Lord. I hope you can do a work. It wasn't mutual initially. And but we had a coffee afterwards with our mutual friend, and then she just stuck around after the coffee and said, hey, man, you sound a lot different than you look. Buff, bald guy, and Engels. And so we chatted that week. Just messaging, and then we went to a dinner at this Turkish restaurant up the road. A second time meeting each other, and halfway through the dinner, she said, "Listen, I'm a very intentional person. I'm 7 years younger than you. I'm very Afrikaans. This is not at all what I had in mind, and I'm actually dating a guy." So I was like, "Oh, what a letdown." She said, "No, but we dated for a week or two, I told him when we started dating that when I meet my husband, I'll know." So she told him and said, hey, guess what? Like, I'm here with the guy I'm going to marry. And I said, well, I told the people I'm living with, my landlords, I said, also the day I met Hess, I said, I showed her a message. I met my wife. And they're like, hope you're not back on drugs, man. First day at the church there. And yeah, 6 months later, I proposed at the Atterbury Theatre. Robbie did a private you have to fill the Atterbury Theatre. Took a cheap Tuesday night and had to fill the theatre, and had to force my wife to come and watch a show on a Tuesday while she was studying. Please, it's going to be worth it, I promise you. And so then, yeah, I got our friends there. The lights were super dimmed. He did a whole show for us. And on the last song was that Bruno Mars, I Think I Want to Marry You. And I crept down to the loo with the ring, actually. And as it got to, it's a beautiful night, looking for something to do. Hey, baby, the house lights came on. Whole front row stood up. Hey, Hessie. Whole crowd turns to, hey, Hessie, we think he wants to marry you. And my wife is not a people's person for masses of people. Like, she was, in retrospect, guys, rather do the dinner and the hike up Bachalisberg. I didn't. I'm always big as better. And I got on one knee and I said, please, Esther, just come say yes. The theatre cost me a lot of money. We'll take the ring back tomorrow. And yeah, 6 months later, got married in the restaurant where we met, the big Turkish restaurant. The problem with inviting 300 people to a proposal is then they all want to come to the wedding as well. Like, Simon, we were witnesses. So I had a wild Turkish wedding. And then, yeah, man, blessed with 3 beautiful children against all odds, against my past as a druggie. Just blessings, man. We're walking in a place of blessing. Been through massive marital trials, but it doesn't mean that you just meet your wife and everything is changed. I think that's often what I speak to men about is there's action and there's consequence. There's action, there's forgiveness, and there's redemption, but there's a consequence. Like, and it's often we don't want to work on that. I'm like that. I like playing T20 with an argument with my wife, with mates. I'm like, are we done? I can forgive very fast. I'm like. And sometimes it's good to go in the nitty-gritty. Why did you say that? I hate that question. I'm like, no, we're done. We're fine. We're good. My wife loves that question. Why did you? What is your response? And I'm learning to actually dig deep and go, what is the trigger? What is the want? The swan doesn't want this. Why did I do that? And then dealing with it, man. Just putting it there and saying, what is this thing, man? So yeah, man.
It takes a strong man,
dude. No, it's been It
takes a strong man to be vulnerable, to be soft, to be exposing your emotions.
That's it, man. That's it.
Difficult.
100%. And I think it's, like I said, I talk about a drug past and stuff. It's easy because it was a long time ago. And but that's long, man. It's whatever, 20 years ago odd. And but talk to me about yesterday, man. I'm like, how are you doing now? I think we idolize guys with cool stories and great testimonies, pastors or this and that, and he's inspirational. I never want to be someone's hope. That's way too much of a burden to carry. Just check my head yesterday, bro. Just like show me your search history now. I often say to young men, show me your phone. What are you watching? What are you doing? What are you thinking about?
Yeah.
And I think we idolize men or pastors or Jordan Petersons, and we want to look to them for hope. But hey, man, we fade, man. Like we've all fallen short. So for me, it obviously leads to the Lord and to what is our higher calling in Him. Because on my own is who I really am with Him in the car, in the bucket on the way here. Stop off, check directions, put the hazards on. Jesus, give me the peace of Christ. Be my focal point. Let me have you on my lips. Rededicate. And it's so easy, especially with this and social media and national TV shows. It's easy to just get slowly distracted to pleasing man. So I check myself. My wife knows me, and she checks me. And I've got a few mates who check me on them and say, hey, sorry, just watch yourself. Just watch yourself, man. But it's invited. So yeah, that's where.
Let me take you a bit backwards. We spoke a little bit before about spouses and marriage and why it's important. What do you think it's important? What has it taught you, or what does it give you? To me, it's really important. It has probably saved my life. Having a strong partner, having someone who's able to stick there with you through the difficulties. What do you think is the importance of it? I know you speak a lot at schools and these type of spaces with young people. What do you tell them?
I think for me, it's an ideal which we all want to have. We want to have the white picket fence, and we want to have a job. But Pretoria specifically is that. I think we always say, we're not Joburg and we're not the Cape, and we're people of morals, and we're all down to earth people. It's true, but there is this striving that I see. I have the propensity to go there, to strive and to push and to be more. And for me, he finds a wife finds a good thing, and what the Bible says. But what I found it to be, it's I think for someone who is more of a withheld person and needs a kick up the bum, your wife, the Lord will give you someone who is a wife who is that for me. I need actually the opposite. I need someone who can temper you. Because whoa. And often, I think often my biggest offense in marriages come when I'm like, are you not hyped up with me? Are you? And my wife is like, if you need a hype man, go have a drink at Lucky's, bro. You'll find out anyone time, and that's what we do. It's easy to find out hype men. Facebook, social media is the biggest thing. It's often the biggest. I can make my life look like amazing. We did a post a while ago on Facebook, and I said, hey, this family photo looks really great, but what you didn't see 2 minutes ago was me giving a hiding there, me doing that there, me whatever, us having a fight about who didn't do the dishes. I said, it looks great, and you live your life on, look at their nice life. Meanwhile, and I think I needed someone to temper me, and that's not always what I want to hear, but I know over the years, she's been the one who stuck around, and has taken huge offense with me, and her hurt is my hurt, and it's a shared thing. We love to see the shared successes and the great photos in Mauritius, but it's the moments that people don't see, that it's like really my one flesh, and it doesn't separate when we go through trials. It's like, I think you know that just as much, man. It's like you said, it's tough times are a place for renewal. So she's my refreshing zone, definitely what marriage means to me, but and a teammate, but intimacy, like I was saying earlier, into you I see. What is intimacy? And I think we always go to the physical connection of that, especially when you speak to lighties and intimacy. But it's like, for me to be raw and vulnerable, it's so difficult, man. It's so difficult. But when I realize that Leroux's going nowhere, bro. Whatever I say can't shift your access on our friendship. Then we can walk a path, and then you get a wife, and it's the ultimate of that. It's like, until death do us part, bro. Until death, there's I'm staying with you, man. I'm sleeping with you. We're gonna raise families together. That's deep, and your pain is my pain, man. So, yeah, and I always used to slant towards the more romantic sort of slant of it. When I find someone who gets my humor, and makes me laugh, and my wife and I are very different, very, very different. But thank God for that, man. I'd be dead if she was the same as me. We'd be finished, man. It'd be just an explosion. So, yeah, I've got an opposite person, but that's exactly like you said, what the Lord said, you need this to really let me flourish as well. And then for her as well, I'm her promoter. I'm like, come on, you're a genius, you're the champion. I'm her fuel to her fight when she needs hype up and believe in yourself, and you're an amazing psychologist. Then she needs the war cries that I bring, and I need the temperate that she brings. Yeah, so it's a cool halfway mark.
I love it. I love it. And I feel the same with my marriage. Thank you. God bless that we're not the same. You know, it would have been a terrible disaster because my lows, her highs, you need a leveling out.
That's it, man.
You know, water balance. Let me ask you about, you're a father.
Yes.
Father of 3. How old's your oldest?
So Samuel is 6 years old. Cool story. We were really praying for kids, and we had a homeschool group at our house, and one night we just mentioned to some of our mates there, just being honest and saying, hey man, we're trying for kids, let's just believe with us. And 2 of our good friends, they stood with us afterwards, and everyone had left, and we had a klein nagmaal there, nothing holy. It was an old biscuit, typical cell group fare, and some Milo with a skame on top there. And we were just like, hey Lord, like, we need help, man, like, we want babies. And 9 months later, on the 13th, 14th and 15th of December, all 3 of us had kids, 3 days in a row. Hey, crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah, the Conways, the Edges and the Phillipses, our kids all share birthdays. I then had Elijah, so Sammy's 6, Elijah's 3. Elijah was born with a hole in his lung, so he was on death's door during COVID. Came out, the womb supposedly fine. My good friend Johnny was the pediatrician. He said, hey Simon, here's your second child. Wow, what a miracle, great. Nice vibe, Hesse being sewn up there. And then his demeanor changed immediately, and he said, this boy is dying. His breathing rate was through the roof. It's like he's got holes in a checkers packet. Hesse didn't even see him, went straight to NICU. And yeah, for the next on weeks, he was just a sick boy, but dying. And I remember clearly it was in lockdown, so I would just break curfew and I'd just drive there and I'd just sit there. But it's so funny how we want people to be with us when it's all going well. Hey, well done on the birth of your son. Please pray. He's a bit sick. And then everyone's like on the WhatsApp group and dropping off Willie's meals and it's a bit fat. But when things don't improve immediately, we start losing hope. But do we lose hope in God, or do we lose hope in our friendship group? And I'm honest with that. Like I'd get there after the first few days in hospital. It's all nice and kumbaya. Day 4 or 5, he's not getting better, and the doctor's like, dude, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I don't have answers. You're looking to medicine, and that's not working. Looking to man, looking to friends, looking to Willie's frozen meals. And I remember coming to my wife, and I was like, I was offended at people. Like, and people aren't messaging back, and everyone's not praying in 7 different countries, and they're not dropping food anymore. There's someone else with a need now. You know, it's so funny how we build a fence. A fence is a fence you build, huh? And I sat there, and I'm like, and then Hessie's just an absolute baller. And she's like, said a crazy line. She's like, "Si, let Elijah die. If he needs to die, let him die, bro. Like, you're trying to cling on to he must be well, and the friends must do this, and everyone's pulling him, and God, you must do your part, and the doctor is not replying. You know, like, and she's like, it's hectic for a mother to say. It's like, yeah, let him die. She reminded me of Abraham. Remember Abraham, they wanted kids, and Sarah wanted kids for 80 years, huh? And the promise was big. The Lord said, no, I'll give you more children than there are sand on the seashore and stars in the sky. Man is 80, nothing.
It's like, when?
Like, come on, man, with the desert, where's the oasis? And then eventually, I have Isaac. Isaac is a young man, and God says, okay, kill him, sacrifice him. What a sadistic story. What a sadistic God. Who's this God? And up the hill he goes, and it's that same thing, like, let him go. It's your dream, let it go. It's your little boy dying here in Troy East, let him go. And halfway up, they see a ram in the bushes, a lamb, perfect lamb. And the Lord says, okay, I see your obedience, I see your heart, see it. In the challenge, there's your champion. And on that same hill, 2,000 years later, it's a crazy story, that's called Mount Moriah in the Bible. 2,000 years later, it's actually also a few Ks from there, Golgotha. Jesus, the perfect lamb. The son, the only son, was also sacrificed. Crazy, huh? Intentional, bro. That book doesn't play games. Huh? It's like, dunk, 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 same hill. And so when my wife said that, I was like, I had nothing to say. I drove home, I wept again. Got home, it was almost midnight. And the Lord said, I don't go to bed. He's like, just talk to me and thank me. Just thank me. In the storm, thank. It sounds, everyone says that on YouTube. Gratitude list, be grateful, be grateful. Until you're in a storm and you must be grateful. Everyone can do it when you
Really
just got
difficult.
paid a dividend and it's going well with your marriage and the box went, everyone's happy. We all want to do praise and worship at church on a Sunday. But in the middle of a divorce, in the middle of a marital stress, and when there's no bucks and your car's being declined, but oh Lord, we thank you for this. Then it's different gratitude. It's got to come from somewhere else. It can't be me doing gratitude. That's the difference between me and the world. I think it's like, I cannot be full of gratitude. There must be a spirit in me that speaks another gratitude. So I get home and I'm sitting there and the Lord says, talk, bro. So I march on that same table we prayed for our first son. And I say, first I just say, I'm sorry for doubting. Sorry for a doubting spirit. Sorry for offense, being offended at people. Always offended at people. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's harboring secret offense, against people. And just let it go, man. What do you have for me? What is your plan for me? Not what is Bill's plan and this guy's plan. And anyway, so let him go and thanked him for Elijah's life. And a few minutes later, my wife messages, are you awake? I'm awake. And she sends just like a screenshot of his breathing rate. And in that past few minutes or moments, he had a drop from something, death's door, dying, fighting for his life, to a ridiculously low, like an Olympic swimmer. And 2 days later, home, and hole was totally closed. Doctor shocked. Totally closed, and the boy was home. 48 hours, What healed him? Maybe it was antibiotics. I like to believe it is. I was, in a way, keeping him sick, and I'm not being pessimistic against myself. I'm like, it was my battle as well. My boy, but it's my genetic of, let go, Simon. I've saved you out of these deserts before, and we walk this path again, and you still got at mistrust. You still got at offense. God, you're really good. You really have a good plan for my life. And my natural default is there. It's like, Lord, you actually had to fight me. And I've done it how many times in my life, and I keep on fighting this battle. And maybe till the day I die, but it gets more refined every time, and I'm quicker to run back now. That's the thing. My response is quicker. Someone said something the other day is respond quickly to correction or to a challenge in life and respond to it. But the response for that is don't be impulsive. And the way they explain it is so good. They say the way we work, say if I've got a problem with whatever, man, porn or this or stealing or whatever, my response for a thief is to, there's a sweet on the floor, take it, no one saw, do this, whatever it is, and that's called impulsiveness. And they said when you get to spiritual and emotional maturity, it's lengthening the gap between stimulus and response. So this is a temptation. That's a given. It's going to happen to all of us. Then I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I respond. And what's in the gap is your emotion. It's friendships. It's the Holy Spirit. It's a wife. It's what is that gap time? And that's what I try to fill my gap now. I'm like, I have a temptation. I want to get angry. I want a reason. Newspaper load shedding happens. 3, 2, 1. Don't react. My whole life I've been told, react, respond, follow your heart. If I follow my heart, literally I'll be dead. What I say at schools, my big thing is the world says, do what you feel. Follow your feelings. Follow your heart. Follow my feelings. I'd have committed suicide 3 times if I'd done that. This is how I feel today. I heard this guy, Quibus from that Black Cat's Bones, hung himself up the road here the other day. Musician. I was just checking his Facebook.
Black Cat Bones.
Yeah, the lead singer a few days ago killed
Goodness.
himself. 4th musician in Pretoria this year. Change a friend, we watched his memorial last night. I don't know the guy, it rocks you because it's close to home. You're like, shh, my age, what? And I'm like, but that's my thing. We are guys, it happened on a random week morning, not at a gig, not when the fans are going, more. It happens when, Tuesday morning, bro. But then do we have people, is there a switch to pull? Are there mates? We have accountability. Is there a God that I can cry out to? Is there a wife I go, hey, I've hidden my suckiness from you, my depression. This is where I'm at. This is really where I'm at, and it's not great. And do we have those things? That guy, Quibus, I'm like, just call, man. Just come. Just call. But we don't put those in place. It's especially with men and testosterone.
Men are hurting currently, and it's a disease across the world.
For sure.
Men are, the whole toxic masculinity movement. I think it's confusing a lot of guys. Yeah. They don't really know how to be anymore, to not be yelled at by social media and by the whole world, especially if you're a strong man, and if you're a figure like you are, that is being learned and taught. This is wrong. You shouldn't be this. What's your feeling about that?
100%, man. I think that's why it's got such traction with champions like old Peterson and stuff, is because it resonates, man. That's what guys are watching. We've been trampled on our heads, and it's not an anti-feminist movement. I'm a pro-humanist in the sense of the way to lead, the way for me to be. I can only lead as I follow wise counsel, as I follow Christ. Then I'm followable. But if I'm on a hiding to nothing with what I'm following, or if I'm following just my own heart and my whims and my feelings, then my son Elijah dies. Then just to use an example, then my circle crumbles. And what I know and what I do basically every day of my life is I speak to men and I speak to mental health issues. Generally, most guys I speak to are in a hole with great ups and downs. I would have never known this. I always thought I was the only one who had struggles and questions. But as soon as I got honest and said, "Hey, I suck, man. I'm in a place," I found out it's so common, and it's normally the guys who tell me stuff. I sit there, and I don't show it in my face, but I am a bit shocked when people tell me they're in such deep holes. It's not the guys I would have thought. It's the strong guys. It's the cool guys. It's the alpha males. It's the captains of rugby at school. It's those are the guys because their whole life they've built themselves on a foundation of not meaninglessness, of frivolous friendships, of lack of honesty. Because we are set up to be a leader. We're set Afrikaans culture number one to blame for that, in the sense of, I spoke at a big boys' school the other day, and I said, with all due respect, I love your culture here. It's a very well-known traditional school. And I said, I love your culture. I spoke to the leaders there, and I said, and yes, we're so impressed. It's sir, ma'am, yeah, Danny. It's E and this and that. And I said, that's great tradition, and I love that. I went to school like that, and there's a place for that, and it's discipline. I said, but when you're 18, this kid is not going to call to, when he's crying out with a problem, he's not going to phone he's going to phone Leroux. Whether I'm 45 and he's 18, we're a man. And we were taught, my whole life I was taught, yes, sir, yeah, I've got it all together. Hello. Then you meet guys like Leon, Andrew, and the like. And you go, can I be real here? Your name is not your name is Leon. You know what I mean? It's not Andrew. When you did the car handover, the one guy, Giovanni, said, thank you, and he said, hey, you never do that, man. He's like, that immediately puts up a barrier. And it's true.
It creates an authority figure.
Germany, but I understand respect. I hear that. This guy, Rory Dyer, the other said, this region I don't speak off a stage. I bring the pulpit down because I'm going to hit you here. As soon as I do this, it's like we quiver and go, ooh, get right, because that guy's got it right, and we're living towards his standard. And I think Afrikaans culture has done that in a big way. It hasn't set up lighties for honesty. That's why we send fantastic masculine leaders and men and but honesty in our heart issues, it's hard because we're all sitting around the Weber, Bitcoin, buckies and beers and whatever, and like
we want to be impressive.
That's it, man. Like I said, like I've fall foul of that so often, Simon. It's almost like I hear people saying, "What are your plans?" And I want to go. I'm here at the moment, but you set up the spike for the volleyball, and you're like, "What cool stuff are you doing?" That's what I'm hearing, and I want to say, "Hey, our marriage is crumbling," but I'm like, "Okay, so I'm doing this Gladiator show," and it's like my natural default, is to do that. And if I do that every day, then I start living in this wonderland, which where I've been, and most of the guys I speak to on a daily basis are, until someone goes, it's so funny. I was watching a TED Talks on the art of storytelling, and they said no good speech, no good story, no good movie starts with, here's 7 facts. If you sit in a preek, if you sit in a board meeting and they go, here's our dividends for the year, or here's 7 scriptures on this, I can almost watch a whole church go. But as soon as the dominee, the CEO, the speaker says, can I tell you a story? I was in the shower the other day. We would drive, you see the whole church, the whole congregation, the whole boardroom goes, whoa, it's a story tate. They do it with my 6-year-old son. We do it in a church. We do it here. We're doing now story tate. This is it. Once upon a time. Everyone, they all go, ooh, it's real. Is it a real? And the big one, they go, here is a true story. You know, you sit at a dinner. To say, all right, it's a true story. What? Google it. What? Is it real? Now I'm all ears. Tell me a story and tell me a true story. Woo! And it doesn't have to have happy ending. It can be, that's where we are now. Whew, drive home, babes. Let's love on those guys. Let's sow into their lives. Think they need bucks. Should drop off some groceries. Hey, let's make time for them. Let's babysit the kids. Whatever it is, fill a gap. But unless you're doing real life stories, I can't get to that, man. I'm just telling you what you want to hear. And then no one knows you're struggling. But you never said help. You never said help. So yeah, man. I'm saying a lot.
You are in the right job, I think, because you can really talk. I don't have to say a lot. I just give some prompts and then you can go for hours. But I love it, man. You're so excitable. Um, I want to ask you, have you ever considered being a pastor? Because I think you are situated even better in the secular world to preach, because you don't have that hat of a pastor.
100%. And I think I spoke. I was invited to a thing C12 with John Jones yesterday, and the one guy there, Anton, a good friend of mine, really clever CEO, but a really relatable guy. He said to me, we were talking about my new role, what I'm doing at TV, and he said, Simon, he said, you don't have to, you don't have to always preach. And I think often we have that. I think that's where dominees or motivational speakers or whoever, and someone in a public space gets burnt out. Often I see it, myself included, because you feel, oh, I'm going to go speak to Leroux now. I better have something hyped up. I better have something cool. I better have some sort of like story or something, because the crowd is expecting. And it is true. It is tough because people always like, oh, you got to have Simon there. Oh, he'll bring something. He'll pray a prayer. Or
A lot of pressure.
it's pressure. So you got to perform every time you touch the ball, and it's impossible. It's impossible. And that's why we went through, my wife and I, through a tough season of marriage where, like, we had everyone shut out of us. We were gone. We were separated. So we could find that who am I in front of people? And what I've realized is we all are in ministry of sorts, whether we like it or not. We have an impact. Luckily, there's no pressure for me to say, these guys came to heaven via me, every man for their own. And I realized really, like, I can encourage people and I can hype people up. I can do it with Jim. I can, but you can't change someone. I can give you great pointers, and like I said, YouTube will last 10 minutes and then the goosebumps will fade. I'll watch a workout video, and tomorrow morning, let's talk again. A good friend of mine, Jay, said such a cool thing a few years ago. He said, Simon, I said, can I ask you a very dwarf question, but I think it's relevant. And it's been probably one of the biggest phrases in my life is, he said, what is faith? And I said, I'm like thinking of all the Bible stuff I know. And I said, no, it's the evidence of things unseen, and you already have faith. So he said, no, but what does it really mean to you? And I think we've heard so many phrases in motivating ourselves, in marriage, in death to us part, in the Bible, in our faith, that we almost don't know what it means anymore. So the guy said, okay, tell me, what does it mean? And I said to him, I think if we have faith for something, we obey, and we listen to God, and we read the Bible, and we have good friendships, and you listen to some nice worship song, and he says, and you believe really hard, and he says, so it's like, you almost like, so he said, can I just fill in, Simon? I think that's where you're wrong. He said, it's almost like you're saying the word, if I. So he said, that's a bit like Harry Potter. It's almost magic. If I'm a really good guy, if I'm really good and I don't stuff up, I'm going to win the lotto. He said, that's like, I'm squeezing my eyes out, it must happen. He said, that's not faith at all. So he said, the cool thing, he said, go check the Greek root word for faith. And this was the game changer. And it applies to secular anything. And it says, the Greek root word of faith is obedience. So someone can say, hey, Simon, and often I get it, Simon, ek sukkel met porn, can you walk a path with me? No. I'm like, I've got faith through it. Yeah, we can beat that. We can pray till the cows come home, bro. Can anything. I said, but cut your Wi-Fi. I dare you.
Take action.
Phone me at 10 p.m. tonight. When your wife goes to bed, not at 2 in the afternoon, not on a Sunday after church, and you're feeling cool and holy. 10 p.m. tonight on a weeknight when you're watching Super Bowl Blitz and your hand goes down the phone. Show me obedience. Call me. I'm watching crap. A guy with doping problem. Hey, Simon, have faith with me. When's the next gig? It's my brother's 30th on the weekend. Don't go. No, you don't understand. Hey, don't go. It's funny how that's now we're talking. People, hey, someone want to get a six-pack. Drive past McDonald's. And here's the big thing. It doesn't happen immediately. That Simon Sinek, he's got that famous quote of, when do you get a six-pack? When do you become the ultimate husband, man, businessman? Everyone goes to the gym first day and back after the holidays. You go home, you check, you flex. Oh, nothing. Second day, go check in, nothing. See, I'm telling you, after a week, you'll see no change. But somewhere, after being obedient, faith-filled, 3 weeks of good eating, good friendships, good relationships, consistency, someone's going to go, Leroux, something's changed. Something's different. When you talk to people, there's a confidence. There's something's different about you, man. And I started silly stuff about losing a tummy, but it's marriage. The way you hold I've never seen you hold your wife's hand before dinner. What's happening? Something's changed. But that's consistency, and it's not easy. It's test match. We're not playing and I played T20 my whole life. Yes, impressive. What a great couple. Simon Hester. Dude, we had people fooled. Cracking behind the scenes so often. But when you play test match, you're exposed there. A few people in the crowd, less action, less sixes, grafting, team talks under the pitch, checking the cracks on day 3, battling for each run counts. That's faith. That's real life. And I think we're all on this T20 mission just to bash the ball out the park every time we have a kayer or press. And then the Lord's like, slow, bro, slow. This is church. This is church. We're 2 or more gathered. This is church, man. And I've been living for Sundays, living for a stage. Get your speech ready. And I can feel when I step off a stage, I can feel whether I'm genuinely in a good place or if I'm just saying what people want to hear. I expose myself. They will have a great speech, but I know in my heart, I'm like, sorry. My wife will tell me, she said, yeah, that thing was lame. You honored yourself. You said a cool thing. You said it's like, she just responds like,
She's keeping you to a high standard.
keep it, man. Yeah. Like, how was it really, man? And I think, and that's, it's like, what's it? Don't. They call Mississippi the show me state. It's hardcore. It's deep south. And the one American football coach said, we're not the talking state. We're called the show me state. Show me, man. And it's, and I've been a big talker my whole life. So now it's my gifting, but now with my life, working my gifting every day, not just showing people a billboard. And it's hard, and what it requires is, and I hope I'm doing it now, is like always just coming, not self-depreciating at all, being confident, but just bringing it back, going, hey, but I'm still struggling. Yesterday I struggled. If you could check my mind, check me at the taxi cut-in. But for that moment I gripped it, and I'm doing this, and I'm working on this, and slowly but surely people find integrity in that. They're like, oh, that's real, man. Your side, that's full integrity. Me being honest and vulnerable, that's actually integrity. And then we progress.
Can you maybe give me a bit of a hack or a trick? Because you told your story about where you were homeless and how you were outsider, you were struggling to fit in, you were struggling to make friends, all of those. And if I had to judge you from the outside and see who you are, to me, you look really confident. You look accomplished. You look like you have things under control. Was there a stage specifically where that changed? Is it something that you constantly work on? How would someone gain this confidence that you put out?
I think not to be fake in the sense of if you're not I love leadership, and I think I love the topic of leadership. And I think when you're young, or you're in high school and varsity, it's a leader is a confident guy, back up straight, PSP sort of guys, hello, firm handshake, and we grew up with that image. But now that I'm older and I work in business and stuff, and like I told my wife the other day, I said, but a leader, generally it's small, quiet CEO, good at numbers, it's operating. Lee van der Walt is not there shouting the rooftops off, but he's leading. In whatever way he's leading, he's leading. He's leading a construction industry, this, that. There's leaders out, and it's Franco van den Berg. Leon's talker and looks more the leader in that sense, and he's the but Franco's just as important, and he's vital, and he's the bulldog, and what is leadership? What does it look like? And so I think that thing is like, first of all, if that's your parameter, what is confidence? And some of the most, Jordan Peterson, confident leader type, if I saw him, never. Hear him speak, hear him weep, hear him be honest and touch hearts and be real and get you going, wow, I'm a follower. He's a leader, thought leader. So I think we've got an image, and that's what so many guys strive to. I always tell Hestus, like, especially you meet people now with a kid in grade R, it's all the papas are there together, and it's that first, you walk into a braai, and I used to be a succumb to it, and I try not to do it now. Everyone's like, hello, Leroux, hello. It's all this like this bronking, and I love to cancel it out. I love just being a bit corny, being a bit like, let's all just calm this thing down. Let's be real. How you going? How you doing? It doesn't have to be deep. Just get everyone real. When I'm real, then we can all operate and be in our giftings and honor the quiet guy in the corner. Man, I heard this saying, like, there's two things. In a boardroom meeting, when you have nothing to say, or in a meeting, always be the last to speak, because then you can garner all knowledge, and at the end you can just put a little caveat on it and this and a bow and it looks genius. And secondly, like, I'm not an academic person. I'm not an IQ person. I'm not very clever with academics, maths, science, never. But and I always used to beat myself up with that, and I would always take a step back when the clever people spoke. I'd always like, I don't know much about that. I don't know any of those equations. But I think it's like really focus on your strength. So what am I good at? And when the time comes to be a chef, I'm a chef so well. And when I speak on cooking, it's going to be this, and I can apply it to different areas of life. But this is my thing. And I think that the biggest thing of leadership is the one who has the most influence in the room is the one who brings the most hope. And that's influence. I think leadership is one thing, but influence is long-term. We can lead at on a camp when you have a volleyball tournament. Who's the captain? He's a leader guy. He's going to cheer us up. But influence is long term, man. That's like, you don't have to be loud or confident or have a big chest and big guns to do anything. It's like, and I often sit with very powerful men in board meetings, and I don't know why I'm there often. I'm like, why am I being invited? I speak at these things, keynote speaker. I'm like, and that was the thing, bring hope. They're generally all accomplished people, but they lack hope. Hope in their finances, not. Hope in their marriage, generally. Hope in a wayward child. Can have all the money in the world. Simon, can you go speak to my son? He's 18. Drugs, this, that, whatever. Relationships, help. I can't do it. I'm a dad and I can't do it. Big pride dropper for dads to come and say, hey, help me, father. Harder. But it's to bring hope. Just hope to a situation. Joy, man. I sit in meetings, no joy. Big plans, no joy, man. I'm like, come on. That's why that's why we created it.
But again, it's a decision.
It is, 100%, man. And like we said, now we live in, most our mates are going through huge battles. It's quick shots of joy when you have a brana in the box. We're living for weekends. Like, boom, boom, boom. And I hate that thing. I know it's natural, we want to rest, but I hate that thing going, oh, it's almost Friday. I'd still do it, but I'd love to get to the day where I go, yum, Wednesday. Come on, I'm excited for today. I'm coming to see you. That's great. But just for me breathing tomorrow morning, I want that to be my goal. That must be my thing. We can't live for weekends, man. We won't have any left. And it's that thing of like, what joy am I finding in the absolute simple pleasures of we don't have big dreams, my wife and I, we don't have huge cash. We're planning trips to skiing and this and that. And I always wanted to have that. And I'd always push for bottom line. And now that I've fallen into my calling, we really are so okay with like, just being simple. It's like my brother in Cape Town, he's a pastor. In lockdown, they had a cool saying, he and his wife, they would sit on their lawn on a Sunday afternoon, and when you've got kids, you do a thing called clock watching. You're like, it's 2 o'clock and the kids are going nuts. You start clock watching and you feel very guilty, like, when can this be over? Or it could be sitting with a boring friend or someone who's just like going through stuff and you're like, can you get this meeting over with? And anyway, so when the 6 o'clock comes, kids in the bath in bed, oh, you collapse. And they realized, my brother said, like, are we living to clock watch? Like, are we really? But the funny thing is they would then look at it, they'd send each other a photo on the Wednesday when they're at work or whatever, of that same moment on the lawn when you were actually fighting and clock watching, and you romanticize, you go, oh, yes, Leroux, I'll remember this. In a week's time, I'll go, yes, there was so lack of that memory comes up. You're like, so in the moment, remember it. And so they're saying is, the boring is glorious. Not that this is boring, but in like with kids specifically, when you're just doing a laborious task, the drive to a farm, the boring is actually a thing, and you go back, yes, that was a lacquer trip. Remember that drive. Like, make the boring glorious, because the highlights package is minimal.
Be present.
Yeah, man, and just like really breathe it. Everyone's like, don't take life for granted and live it, but like really like apply yourself to it. Often I do it, man. So I went through a stage past years, and I always thought depression and anxiety are nonsense. I always grew up thinking that until a few years ago, until I got it. And I'd hear people say, oh, I've got depression. And in my head, I'm like, oh, just cheer up. Cheer up, bro. Get a life. I'm sorry for you. Oh, I've got a panic attack. I'm like, oh, that is the most weak thing I've heard in my life, bro. Panic attack. What? Until I got it. Breathing here. Marriage going to pot. Struggling, man. Nowhere to turn. And I started, and it's like we have an antidepressant, or we have a Panado, we have a painkiller in our hand, which is friends, it's honesty, it's God. And I would go to a stage where I had this panic attack or depression, and I'd wake up and I knew I've got a Panado. I've got the Lord, I've got Leroux at the end of the line. And I'd walk every day knowing that, and then I'd have the panic attack by midday, and my headache is pumping, and then the whole world is going, just phone Leroux, just talk to the Lord, but you've got a Panado in your hand, and you're telling us all that you're stressing, just do something. But you have to stop and be intentional to do it. So now what I do, because I still have time.
You have to catch yourself.
In the moment.
Yeah.
And I would always, and it's like an addiction. I would let it go until it was too late. So I would be going into a meeting, and I'm like, and no one can spot it, but it's pumping in me. And so what I do now, did it a few days ago. I'll be driving, and it's really corny, but I pull over, I put my hazards on, I talk to the Lord, I really breathe deeply, 4 in, 4, hold it for 4, and when I'm halfway through going, okay, I'm fine, I go, no, keep going, okay. And then if I'm 2 minutes late, it's okay. I'd rather be 2 minutes. I'd normally race there, ignore the Panado, get there with a pumping migraine or depression or whatever, stuff up the meeting, come out crumbling,
not
ruin the day, and I'm like, dude, just be 2 minutes late. No one cares. Just save yourself, bro. Then I can be a hope merchant. But if I don't have hope in my own nonsense when I cross Rubenstein, then what the heck, bro? Pull over, man. Make a plan, dude. Like, so self-love, it's like It's bigger. It's a funny, loosely used word, but like really self-care, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's also very inspiring to hear a guy like you. You're a real intimidating figure, and you're the kindest person ever. But I mean, if someone just sees you going past because of your size and your appearance, and then hear you say, yes, I get a panic attack, or I struggle with this and my marriage and this and that. And I think it's so inspiring for people to hear that. And it inspires me because I have a lot of practices what I do daily. I have a sauna right over there, cold showers, breathing techniques, all of this because I also deal with these things. I also don't have a lot of drive some days. People also, they just see the nice videos where I'm inspiring someone over Instagram or something like that. But I don't make a video when I'm down or when I'm, when I'm struggling with something. But I think it's really cool that you're a strong enough man to be able to share those type of things.
Man,
I think it helps a lot.
I think that's the thing is, and I always, so I wanted to be a motivational speaker for years. I think, and I got to the point where like you're saying now, then you just buy the flipping camera and start doing it. So I went to a good friend of mine, Martin, so he's the head of corporate culture, King Prize. Very cool guy. He was a pastor at Lebanon for years, and I used to idolize the guy, watch him there. Didn't understand much of what he preached about. I was a raw soti then. And I always like, this is Manu, the real deal. And then years later I heard, hey, that guy Manu, he's the King Prize guru of corporate culture. He's the guy to go to. I had a meeting with him, and I sat in King Prize, and I said, hey man, just mentor me, man. Like, I want to do what you do. I want to do, and he just said, Sai, like, then you just start. And he said, and be flipping real. There's a point. Obviously, you're not going to get up on a stage every day and say, listen, I'm currently depressed, let's just end the meeting. He said, you've got to have processes and practices, cold showers, saunas, so you get to a state, and I think that's the big thing, is like routines and practices. It's like we think it's just going to, you can have a raw talent as a cricketer, but you've got to go to the nets, I often say, like, yeah, Rusty can give us the call-up, but I'm not going to pitch up at practice. Like, we've all got the call-up. We've all got the, like, go, do it. You let from the rooftops. But it's the daily practices of just being deliberate. First of all, with my creator, spouse, mates, being honest, forcing through when it sucks, and then actually doing it, man. It's like now with this new job of mine, I haven't done social media for a while just because of kids. And I told my wife, it used to be so easy. Now it's hard. I must just make a video for anything. I'm like, I must do it. Must take some photos here. I must we take for granted like the routine. So I'm trying to get back into it. And I think the big thing, I've got a gift in the sense of it's big and intimidating and muscle, but it's not at all how I see myself. It's not at all how I picked up my young son from school the other day at Linny's, and I took 2 of these huge Gladiators with it, like impressive oaks, and it's just like you can just see, and I'm there every day, and my kids, his friends, they all love me, and I throw them in the air. But your own light, he's like, oh, Dad, don't give me a hug and a kiss. No, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass to my own kids, I'm a small little bully. The Uncle Philip, the big brother who lives with us on the property in the flat there, he's way stronger than Dad. And my wife knows that as well, in the sense of like warts and all that. Like just the people, and that's the people we must go around, as the ones who see you as, hey, you're Leroux, the small guy, and we love that guy. We love that guy, and it helps. I think for the first 2 seconds to have a big bicep. But beyond that, man, I want people to hear something completely different. I never want to be look at that big guy. It's like, but what is your heart? And I think the thing is that I've always had a heart for people, which is a nice thing to say. But if you've got a heart, then show me time. Time spent. You can't spend time with everyone, but choose a few and then say, we'll do this thing together, man. And then really show faithful. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just be way more present. And then the muscle fades, man.
It looks like you're doing that. You're a real inspirational figure, man. Tell me a little bit, also just a nutshell. I'm not sure what you're able to share about the Gladiators and
sure.
the show that's coming, and what's your plans there? What do you want to put out?
So I asked them what I can say.
Can I ask you to come a little bit forward?
Man. Yeah, I'm fading there. So they gave me a ring about 2 or so months ago, and they said, hey Simon, we've looked at a few possible hosts, and we settled on you. We saw some stuff on social media, we've heard about you, and the only proviso is just don't shave and don't get fat for the next 7 seasons. So that's my goal to keep pushing.
7 seasons.
7 seasons what they've signed. So yeah, so
Goodness.
Prime Media's bought it from Lionsgate, MGM in the States. America's shooting now, Aussie's shooting now, the UK, and then yeah, so it's pumping, man. So we're just following their hashtag. They've had the license for a while, for 4 years, but now it's time to pull the trigger. And they just realize, yeah, people are done with Desperate Housewives and drama and stuff. People just want raw, lekker, get behind the hero. It's like a Springboks.
Yeah.
Just the Gladiators can't really lose, which is quite a cool thing. But it's real, and it's not wrestling. It's not fake. It's proper. It's $1 million prize money. I think guys who remember the show, lighties don't remember it all. You tell them Gladiators, they don't know what you're saying. All bullies remember Gladiators.
They will probably know it because of the Netflix that
Yes.
just came out, that Gladiator show.
That raw one, and everyone says
Yeah.
that. Is that so? Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's pretty raw and exposing.
It's pretty good.
And but what they said at the TV guys, like, hey, there's no such thing as bad publicity, so it's got people talking. And yeah, man, so I'll be running the thing. I'm not the main guy. When they offered me the job, they said, Simon, the main reason we chose you is because you're a nobody. So initially I said, what? And they said, no, it's a good thing. It's so cool, and it's such a good lesson. Actually, they said, because you're not Graham Smith, the ex-captain who's now hosting. Now you have people always looking, he's a cricket captain, but he's hosting. I think Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, was the last host years ago on the American one. And they said he struggled because everyone was like, he's supposed to speak like he did with wrestling, and that's not what you expect. He's trying to be too deep now. So it really didn't work out well. So, but I love that lesson. I came home.
You're basically a blank slate.
And isn't that all of us? Isn't that amazing? Like, we've all got that
That's
chance
what you
to
want,
go.
yeah.
And now I'm this, and now I can do it. Yeah, but you look buff, but I can be deep, and I can be emotional.
Yeah.
And I love that about just like how we can craft our narrative. So yeah, it's an exciting show. It's only filming in Jan and Feb, and then on our screens in April. So it's a long story still. So now we're just promoting it. Signed such a good deal with Farnfield Maritz and Toyota. Delberg is involved, Best Lasers. There's so many cool sponsors coming on. I've got a good deal with Relentless Man. It's Andrew Carruthers. So Andrew Carruthers is a real hero of mine. He was the editor of Muscle and Fitness years ago, and I was a lighty, the little magazines you read and get hyped up to go and bench press. And we'd been mutual friends on Facebook, and we met a while ago, and just yeah, man, what an inspirational chap. So he started this brand. He believes, and he's got a group on Facebook and stuff, the Relentless Man, addressing exactly what we're talking about, like the rise of man in a good way. Just, hey man, where are you guys? It's a very raw group. It's real. There's hard questions asked, and so his brand came out of his belief system. They're like, what are you relentlessly pursuing? Are you relentlessly pursue social life? You'll get it. Relentlessly pursue a six pack. I promise you'll get it. You will do it. Relentlessly pursue your wife. You'll get her, but be relentless. No half-assed. Yeah. So yeah, just walking with and I think that's the big thing. Like with the guys who we mutually know, man. This Varnfield guy and Delberg and this good friend of mine, Andrew Best. It's like just men being real and generational fathering. Father. That word is massive. Eh? The father heart of God. Yes, he lacks a father. He comes from a single home. It's this linchpin thing, and I think we love a single mum. It's like my hero in life is a single mum. But I think we focus so much on that. We've lacked the thing of like, but where are the dads? And beyond the family unit, beyond the nuclear family, just in business, just up the road on Atterbury, just here, just like, hey, are we doing fathering? Are we being real here? Are we being raw? We'll never get the perfect earthly father. And I think so many guys sit with that thing. I sat with a young man the other day, going through tough stuff. He's like, but my dad. I said, hey, dude, you're 29. Your dad died. We've walked through that pain, but it's time to pick up. But let's find dads. Number one, up there. Number two, let's walk. Let's be real. Let's find dads. Let's go and invite. Because we can live with that wound for so long. And yes, for a 13-year-old kid who needs a dad, it's a different story. But for a man who needs it, then let's go and find it. Whether it be in church, whether it be in coffees, let's go and pursue being fathered and saying, hey, I see something in you. Help me out, man. Like, I just see the way you treat your wife. Like someone said the other day, how do you pursue good people? I'm like, if it's a good businessman, have coffees. Ask the guy. He drives a Porsche. Hey, how do you do that? Let's have coffees. If the guy treats his wife like a babe, bro, I want to spend more time with you. I have a friend, Jay, and before we got married, I said, hey, man, help me out with some counseling advice. And we hung out for a bit. And I remember, then it was time to get married, and I almost was expecting more. I thought he was going to come with PowerPoint presentation on being a good husband and being romantic. And he said, hey, man, remember, Simon, you popped around to my house, and we're supposed to have a chat, but we did the dishes. Yeah, I remember that. Remember the other time you came around and we didn't actually have our counseling chat because we were picking up a kid. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, that time my wife was flipping sick. That time the kid was screaming and had a mental breakdown. He said, but we washed dishes and we did life. We changed nappies. That's dying to yourself. Do that. Like, I am second. Like, die to yourself, to your wife. He said, and he's such a bot guy. He's like, and that's my counsel. He's like, that's it.
That's what you're
If you're
going to
struggling,
need.
phone me. I'll tell you what to do in that moment.
Successful marriage.
That's
there
it,
you
man.
go. 101.
Serve each other, like out-serve each other, and you'll win. So, and then from there, it flowed. And when, yes, man, we'd be honest, like when we went through marital stuff, it was impossible. I was in such a hole. It was impossible. I could fake that I was serving people and being a leader, but I couldn't. For me, the barometer is the home environment. If that thing is wonky, I'm wonky, man. I'll fool you for a bit, but eventually you'll see there's cracks, and it's like, so that's why your first church, your first point of reference, it's the home, man. This is where it is. And I know myself, man. My wife and I have a bit of a tiff in the morning, and you go to work. It used to not charm me, but now it bothers me. Now that we've been through rough stuff and we've charred salt together, I would just get on with the day, and then that night, oh, sorry, what's your problem? No, I forgive you. And now I can't get. I'm so sorry, man. Like, can we start this over again? Like, be quick to forgive, be quick to say sorry, just quick, sort it out. And it's like I've almost got like a block on my day now. I can't go further until I'm right. If I'm right there, then I can go forward. If I'm not, man, it's like I just feel like the Lord just puts up a firewall and goes, no, you're not pursuing. This is your first place, because He knows me. He knows it's got to be right here, and then it goes well in the land with me. Yeah. So the guy who married us called, and he said, Simon, I'll never have to ask you how your marriage is going. I'll just watch your wife, man. That flower's blooming, you're watering it, my friend. You won't have to say a word. I'll watch you at dinner. I'll check how it's going. You can fool us for a while. And it's true. I just watched the week of Vessel there. Boom. I'll check who's leading her. So, yeah, you call us out if you see my wife wilting. And I think we also open to that, man. Like, through our tough season of marriage, like, yeah, we're open to be called out, man. We haven't got everything figured out, but we're also open to it. I think everyone gets so defensive about, how's your marriage? Fine. Now we're like, wow, what do you see, man? Like, we've been whacked, man. We've had...
Oh, you have a different angle. Help me out.
Yeah, man. In the past, I always thought, everyone's gossiping about us. And you think everyone knows a story. Everyone hears let me get that straight. And I was so busy on like putting out little fires. Like, what did you hear? No, not like that. And like, you realize people don't really care, number one. They're just doing their own life, their own nonsense. And if they do...
same as you. Everyone's stressing about, yes, what is everyone else saying? Thinking about themselves. And that's what the other people are doing as well.
Same thing, man.
They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about their own problems and issues.
And it's so funny, like, often I go into a place and you think everyone's going to go, and you're like, everyone's seeing your podcast. And you walk into the thing and you think everyone at the bride's going to go, yes, the last episode. And they don't go, and they don't say it. And you're like, oh, that's my victory you're not celebrating. And then at the same time, when you're trying to hide a little scandal or something, you think they're all talking about it. No one asks you about it, man. It's like, and then you dig deeper. 4 months ago, we were going through a tough time. Really? Yes, so are we. If we're actually still there. And you realize, like, man, we're so fear of man. We are so fearful of opinion, man. It's like, how do I look on the camera? How do I do an ass? And the great thing is, like, the more I edit myself, the more fake I get. If I had to write down notes when I say to you today and stuff, and obviously it's good to have structure, but the more I edit myself and do it for people, number one, I definitely won't get 1 or 2 views anyway, because it's not real. And the moment I changed my attitude to doing videos and speaking, and I got real, everything changed. It's just like, that's relatable. The pressures that
being
you have
authentic.
to have, that's it, man. And to have content, I think that's the big thing, like with social media, you got to have content. Is that if you don't have content, that's also okay, and that's all right. And then take it easy sometimes. Just be lighthearted. I always thought I had to come with heavy hitting deep stuff and appeal. It's okay just to be real with people and calm. It's like, we don't always have to have. They're not looking to us. We're not their gospel. We're not their salvation. We don't have to have a bomb every day, a cool quote. I think everyone. Yeah. I see people's reels. I'm like, yes, they put this cool music. I know how to do that stuff, man. And this deep quote, and in the gym, and my biceps, my protein shake, and I'm like, yeah, that's so inspiring. And it's like, but it's okay not to do that. Like, I don't really take my inspiration from gymming off someone's cool post. And I hope they don't take it off my picture of a family. Like, it's cool to say, hey, that'll be cool. Yeah. Let's be real. Let's have a chat. But hey, man, like, just go and like, I often, in the past, I'd post stuff. My wife will just look at me and go, bro, what is this? Man, this is not who you are here. This is not who you are here. So that's why I'm way more calm, and I'm just wise with like putting stuff out. I'm like, let's just check my own heart. Yeah. And then let people watch our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like this podcast, it's mainly for myself. We wouldn't have been sitting here for an hour talking like we did without having this podcast.
For sure.
Because and it's not to say that's wrong doing that, but that's just not how we operate.
True.
And that is sad. it's sad that a lot of people doesn't have the chance to sit here and think about things and talk about things and go into depth, because you always have your phone, or there's always something more important, or distraction, or a TV or something that gets your attention. And this is a way for me to delve deep into your mind, sit here connected, looking at you, being focused the whole time and learning a lot. And you're just speaking your heart. But to me, everything is gold, nuggets.
I said to the guy the other day, it's so funny how this cell phone, such a afgod. We reach for it, and I've done that before. I've candy coated, but I'm just reading the Bible off my phone. I'm reading a great quote. But it is inspiring me. I'm not really walking in nature, hearing this dove now. And often I do that when I get into a place, I'm like, I need to spend time with God, or get centered and get my thought process. I'll do a little steroid shot of gospel, of friendship, of TED Talks, of Jordan Peterson, get fired up for a bit, and then and the more the quicker the fix, the quicker the fade. And now I'll just go around, there's this little funny flay outside the house, and then I leave the phone in the car, no cool worship music, nothing, bro, nothing. I'll take one little scripture, one little quote, and I'll walk that field, And then there's that thing where, okay, what you give time to is what you become. What you spend time with, you will smell of. Like, you'll smell of it. Like, I can tell where have you been, because there's just something about, there's a fragrance. And I think for me, like, I've got this thing of, like, I've got my little boy Sammy. When he sits on my lap, he's a son, because he spends time on my lap. So therefore, if he's on my lap, he'll talk like me and sound like me. But if he's not on my lap, he can, like, my little boys have never, and my little girl, they've never asked, Daddy, would you buy us a birthday present? Would you pay the school fees this month? Can we go on holiday? By default of being in relationship with me, they walk in an identity. They just know they're getting supper tonight. What a lovely place to live. And we are called to be children of God. But we think we have to perform the whole time for the guy. But if he means it like he created to be like a little Sammy on my lap, then why are we not doing it? The juxtaposition is, if little Samuel, who I love and I want to give supper to, if he is across the street in the flay, running away from me, running away from wise counsel and from a nice supper, I can say, Sammy, I know your ID number. I share your surname. I've got so much waiting for you. Walk into the promise. Come get supper. Come on, let's go to Mshlanga Rocks. Let's go. And he can go, not right now. I can't change that heart. And we shake our fist at God and at friendships. But it's a decision, bro. Sit on the lap. If you're on my lap, bro, you're here. And I got you covered. Someone moved, and it wasn't God. Someone moved. It wasn't solid friendships. It wasn't wise counsel. You moved. And I'm shaking my fist at it, going, oh, mate, look at my life. It's like, well, you're across the flay. You're not having supper, bro. You're not communing every day. We got the same surname. Don't know you.
I think if we can tie this with a bow, if there's some thought or phrase or idea that you want to leave with the listeners, what would that be?
I think what you spend time with is what you'll become. I know that for myself, from a very banal, simple thing, gym, to a deep thing, marriage, business, finances, focusing on a business, being consistent with the podcast. What you spend time with consistently is what you become. When we had our first baby, it was all great, and yeah, we got a baby now, hooray, thank you God, what a blessing, #blessed. And then I started working harder to now maintain that child. And early mornings gone, 4 in the morning, back 8 at night. And a guy called me out. He's like, hey, bro, Simon, going well, but check your time spent. Just check where you're spending time. And so I started cutting work, and work was cut also. I prayed a prayer for help, and then stuff started going out of our life. But one morning, I was always out the house before the break of dawn, and always back very late at night. So I missed very important moments with your blessing, with your child, with your great wife. Missed it. But I'm doing it for them. So one day I got home, and I don't have clients at 4 in the morning anymore, and this and that, and it's not that great financially. But I'm lying in bed, and later on in the day, a friend gave me a hug, and she said, "Hey man, Simon, like, I've known you for a long time, and on the one side of your neck, it's lunchtime, and I can smell your wife's DKNY apple perfume, and I can smell, is that baby powder?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, it's funny because this morning I got into bed with my wife. She got into bed with me. I was in bed at 6 in the morning for the first time in my life. And on the one side, she got in after a shower, ready for work, in a little kit there, and we held each other for 5 minutes. And that's DKNY because I spent 5 minutes with it. So it's still there by lunchtime. Other side is my little miracle baby, my champion Samuel. And that's baby bud because I held him. I never did that in the past. They never smelled me. So what you spend time with, by midday, you'll still smell of it. If it was intentional and it was worthy, and your first gospel wasn't Nedbank, I'll smell it by midday, man. Like, it'll just be, that's what you will become. And lastly, I think just to let go of nonsense, man. It's like, if something is cancerous, we go check it out. If there's a lump, you go to the doctor. If there's an addiction, you go to a mate and you say, hey, bro, let's wrestle, man. Like, what's up? And last story, there's an old African proverb, and they speak of some village in North Africa, and they had a monkey invasion in the village, and they're just monkeys stealing their crops, chowing their stuff, and this is a pest, man. And so they'd send the warriors, their coolest guys, after these guys every day, and they could never keep up with the monkey. They'd try and kill these things, couldn't do it. So a wise old man, the least leader looking, frail guy, said, listen, I've got an idea. Stop chasing these monkeys, bro. Said, let's bring them here. Let's look them in the eye and let's deal with them. So what they did is, his suggestion, they built a little monument thing in the middle of the village, and they dug a hole in this little wooden thing, and they put rotten bananas and all the crap that a monkey likes. And the thing is that they made the hole just big enough for the hand to go in, but when they hold that banana, it can't come out. So the monkey will go there and take the rotten banana, and then start squealing, and they'd wake up, and they would just conk it on the head, and there, they didn't even have to try. And I think the moral of the story is that monkey lost its life for a rotten banana. Like, you're losing your life for a dope. You're losing your life for fear of failure, for fear of man, for just not doing a shoot. Like, what do you, like, let go of the flipping banana. Like, lost, man. And I found that so often. Sometimes it's just like a thing of like, but we can't let it go unless we value what is waiting for us. What is the bigness? And unless we write it down, unless we have friends saying, Simon, like, okay, what's the plan? How are we going to get there? Let's have a coffee once a week. Let me help you out. What is the plan? Unless I write it down and book the airplane ticket, we're not going on holiday. Can talk about it, but steps in place. But it starts with let go of your nonsense. For men, it's like guys always think I'm a fortune teller. Sickle year met last. Hoe weet jy? I'm like, because I'm a man. I'm a man. Hey, how's the bananas going? Oh, how do you know? Is it noticeable? I'm a man. I'm a guy. Hey? With girls, gossip, jealousy. It's like, we're easy to read. We're all the same. But identify it and then shoot. And then blast that thing, man. And do it until there's, and what you leave out, fulfill with new habits. And fill our time. Like for me, it's good for me to rest, but I have to have, it's from a time to a time, and then I'm busy. If I'm at a place where there's nothing to do, I'm in trouble. Watch my mind. Watch my thought processes. Have your time, and then rest well, and then back into it. So not too much time for idle hands. Got to have a plan. Yeah.
I agree totally. Simon, this has been very valuable, and please continue doing what you're doing. Sometimes when you're in it, you can't see the effect you're having, but I think you have a real platform, and the platform is growing. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really good.
Yo, man. You too, man. Bless you, brother. Thank you so much for this platform. Like when, just to the viewers, when I first saw this, I told my wife about it. I said, yo, this is different, man. And I think it's, the world is watching. People are on their phones, like I said, which could be a bad thing. But if it's to hear this sort of message, and from a guy, and it's in Pretoria, we're not in Hollywood, we're not in some sparkling destination. Yeah. We're here, man. Like we're real people.
You'll see me later today at Mainland.
That's it. Just and also, guys, just man. That's what Leroux and I think we're cut from the same cloth. Like approach, if not us, approach people and just say, reach out and say help, or to anyone who is of value in your life, because the people watching us now, and that's what we do it for. It's not for the conquerors. So the guys who are taking shots, man. That's the thing. It's like challenge. Challenge is where most guys are. If we're all champions, we're not going to watch this. We're not going to stick to the end of this podcast. I got it. Challenge. Most guys are challenged, And so, yeah, actually, I think lies the thing. We meet each other at our point of honesty. But, yeah, I love you, brother. Thanks for having me.
That's beautiful.
Really
thanks,
appreciate
Simon.
it, man.
Thanks for your time, brother, and I'm sure we'll do this again. We haven't covered half of my notes, but you can just take the mic and go. It's beautiful.
Thanks, Leroux. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Simon. Cheers, listeners.
Cheers, gang.